Real Madrid fans out there, if a suitable offer arrives for Rodrygo, would you sell? Now, before we get into the video, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Peru, but I wanted to show you today. Look at beautiful sunny Lima. Oh, how jealous are you guys of me right now? Honestly. Oh. As of recording this video, we are currently 3 games into the Club World Cup, and it's a tournament he's not exactly set on fire. He's only started 1 of the opening 3 games, and he's not completed 90 minutes at all yet. I think it's fair to say his future is not exactly certain at this point, and I wanted to make a video asking Real Madrid fans if a really decent offer, and I'm talking north of 80 million, comes in for Rodrygo, would you sell? And I have to say, as I'm recording this video right now, I don't know the answer to this question for myself. I'm hoping by the end of this video I'm going to come to a conclusion, because I'm really on the fence on this one. So let's get into the video then. Now, usually, I would say most football fans know of their own team whether they would like to sell or keep their players. You can go through a list of all the players that play for your team, and generally speaking, most fans would give you a yes or no whether to sell or keep that player. They might disagree on what players they want to sell and keep, but they themselves know what players that they want and what players they don't want. Being the humble guy that I am, I'm sure I can speak for most Real Madrid fans. We know that we don't want to sell Arda Güler. We don't want to sell Huijsen. We're not selling Camavinga. Rodrygo, though, is a really difficult one for me because I'm really on the fence with this one. On the one hand, he's a very exciting player who's great to watch, has given us some great moments over the years. I remember the 21-22 season in the Champions League, the header that he scored off the bench against Man City that knocked them out. I remember a couple of seasons later against Man City at the Bernabeu when he deftly just passed it around Ederson to take the 2-1 lead, I think it was. Then I remember in the away game against Man City at the there's a theme here, isn't there? At the Etihad when he scored off of Vinicius's cross that eventually took us to penalties. He's had great moments for us, and being only 23 years old, you also kind of think, well, his best is still to come as well. So you don't want to let go a player like that. But on the other side, I don't think he's world class. I think he has moments of periods where he's a world class player, but he's a bit too streaky for me. He's not consistent enough. And when you look at the other players we've got on the team as well, you go, okay, 80, 90 million. Could we take that money, invest it in other areas? It's a very difficult decision to make that I'm leaning towards selling him rather than keeping him is the type of player he is, the player profile. If you look at what he can offer, do you think, do we really need him? I mean, if you've got prime Messi on that right wing, you don't need Mohamed Salah, right? So what's he good at? I mean, we already know that he favours the left wing, and we've already got great left wingers there. I'm not going to go into that anymore in any more detail. It's been talked about enough. But you think, okay, what's he great at? Well, he's a great dribbler, and that's true. He's better in tight areas than both Vinny and Mbappe are. But we've also got Brahim Diaz, who I think's just as good at doing that. I think Rodrygo's a better player than Brahim, but Brahim's also left-footed, so he suits that right wing more. We already know, I think, most Madrid fans would agree that Mbappe and Vinny are not the best partnership. Both of them would thrive playing alongside a Benzema, for example. We already know, we have the evidence of that, of course, with Vinicius already. And Rodrygo doesn't really help that situation. Gonzalo Garcia, who I think is a big a factor to this decision, I think is a much better player. It's very early sample size to go off the Club World Cup, so I'm not going to go off the Club World Cup, but he certainly offers a lot of qualities that none of the other attacking players do. He seems to be very unselfish, and he's a player that has no problem staying in the box, making runs in behind. He doesn't need the ball to feet the way Rodrygo does, and I actually think going into next season we might see, if Rodrygo's not starting, you would think he would be the first player off the bench, but I think Gonzalo Garcia will have a lot to offer next season. And in terms of the goals, I mean, we're going to go into the stats in a little bit more detail, but I don't, so far he's a 10 to 15 goal at best player for us. I think Gonzalo Garcia can get those numbers, so I don't think we're necessarily going to miss his numbers either. Now, we're quite a few minutes into this video, and I haven't brought up the stats yet, so we're going to get into the stats. And it's also because I'm not a huge stats guy, especially not just cold, hard numbers, because I think they're a little bit overused. I mean, for attackers, what they do is quantifiable. So they score goals, they get assists. So I get using numbers more for attackers, but for other areas of the pitch, I find them a little bit misleading, and they don't tell the full story. But if we have a look at the stats here, you can see he's not a Ronaldo type goal scorer, is he? These numbers don't blow you away. I think the most interesting stat here for me when I see this is the matches played. he is consistent. He is available. He doesn't get injured very much, and that in modern football is very useful, very important. But the only season he scored double figures, of course, was the 23-24 season, in which we didn't really have a striker. We had Hoselu, but he didn't play so often. So that is an argument to say, well, if you play him in his natural position, you give him opportunities, he will get you double figures, but I don't think he's ever going to get you 20, 25 goals a season. If you look at the Champions League stats, this is his competition. I mean, even in the 1920 season here, in which I think he was 18, he still got 4 goals in 5 games. I think 2 of them were in 1 game, but still, that is his competition. He seems to really love Champions League nights, and he rises to the big occasion. Which, if you're a club like Arsenal, who are looking to buy Rodrygo, that's they've never won the Champions League, so that could be an extra, I don't know, an extra juicy part of the transfer for them, and for us, we could whack in an extra 10 million or something for that. So we get into his positions played, you can see he's a true modern day player. He's played everywhere across the attack. I actually think this is a great quality of Rodrygo. The fact that his numbers don't really change wherever he plays, and to me, this is a great sign of a talented player, because a lot of players, when you take them out of their favourite position, they're anonymous. They don't do anything and they can't handle it. Whereas Rodrygo, you put him anywhere in the attack and he produces. I think this is a really quality sign of a player. Personally, I think his best position is actually as a second striker, just playing off of a traditional number 9 like Benzema, rather than the left or the right wing. I think he's much better in the pocket, get him in and around the penalty area. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion. If we get into the statistics a little bit more now, and not just the cold hard numbers, he's looking pretty good, I have to say, better than I expected him to be. So, now I did say in the beginning of this video, I'm not really sure where my what my opinion is going to be on this yet, but I mean, very high shot creating actions, very high progressive carries. He likes to dribble, he likes to shoot, he likes to create danger. He's not afraid at taking risks. The What I found quite interesting about this is, if you have a look, if you compare him to the forwards, his numbers shoot up a lot more, which of course makes sense because it's a lot easier for for wide players to dribble and than it is for forwards generally. But what's very interesting here is his defensive numbers are off the chain when compared to other forwards, and I this is a real statistic for me to keep him, to want to keep him at Real Madrid, because I think if you can only play 2 of Vinny, Mbappe, and Rodrygo, maybe Rodrygo with one of the other 2 is going to be better for us, because you're not going to get Vinny and Mbappe to defend and sacrifice themselves for the team as much as Rodrygo will do. He's a very unselfish player. He also has very high passes as well. Passes attempted, passes completed. He's a very unselfish player. So maybe it would be better to play a Vinny and a Rodrygo, or an Mbappe and a Rodrygo, rather than the other 2. Oh, should also point out that I'm quite sentimental when it comes to players, especially legends. I would probably keep hold of them a lot longer than maybe even they should, because I just don't like to say goodbye to players. I remember when Raul and Guti left, I didn't want them to leave. I wanted them to continue. Luka Modric, I still don't want him to leave. I think he could be quite useful for us next season. I'd welcome Toni Kroos back if he decided to come back right now. And even players that are not legendary status, like those guys. Mesut Ozil, I didn't want him to leave. I didn't want Higuain to leave. Rodrygo's not quite that legendary status that someone like Luka Modric or Raul was, of course. But he is on his way, to be fair, and he's a player I do like. So that makes the decision a little bit harder. But I have to say, because he isn't quite at that level for me of a Luka Modric, it's easier to make this decision. In summary, then, should we keep him or should we sell him? I know that not many people watch these videos, but for the few that do, I'm always very aware of not wanting to waste your time, of keeping your time. So I always feel guilty about that. So I'm going to wrap the video up. But generally speaking, I would love to be the president of Real Madrid. I think it'd be a great job buying and selling players. I've always thought I could do that job. It would be no problem. But I have to say, with this decision, I'm quite glad I'm not making it, because it's very hard to do. But if you're forcing me to, I don't want to sit on the fence, because that's boring. No one wants to hear that. If you're forcing me to, I'm going to say yes, we should sell him. If we can get 80, 90 million for him, I'm going to say yes. And it's because, first of all, we need a left back. I mean, if we could get Nuno Mendes with that money, I think we've already got about 40, 50 million ready for a left back. If we then added an extra 80 and just said to PSG, here's 110 million, would you sell as Mendy? That would be fantastic. I don't think that's going to happen, especially because PSG don't like Real Madrid. But we need a left back, and also we do need to start thinking about a centre back. Next summer, we're going to be saying goodbye to Alaba for sure. There's a chance, a relatively decent chance, I think that Rudiger could leave. If not, it will be his last season, I think. So, and we don't know how Militao's going to be after his ACL injury. Asensio, I think, could have a very good future and a good career with Real Madrid, but we don't quite know what level he's going to be yet. He might be more like a Nacho than a Ramos, and there's nothing wrong with that. It would be a fantastic career for Asensio if he could go on to have a career as long as Nacho did. So I don't mean that as an insult, but we do need another world class centre back, and that could cost 100 million. So that kind of money would be very useful for us. So I'm leaning towards yes, I have to say, but I have no problem if he would stay as well because I am a big fan of Rodrygo and he's given us some great moments. So it's a decision where it's one of those transfers where I can see both sides of it. So if it happens, it happens. But if not, I won't be sad to have him either. So let me know on your thoughts. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. I'll always respond to the comments. Thanks very much. Ciao, ciao. See you on the next one.